Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final talk of the day here on the Inspiration stage at Showcase. I'm Tom Watts. I'm Head of Design for the Design and Crafts Council, and I hope you'll all agree we've had a great program here today, lots of interesting talks about topics that are relevant to everyone. And then the latest one and the last of the day is around a very exciting project and collaboration between ourselves, the Design and Crafts Council of Ireland, and Trinity College Dublin, and a new accelerator that we're delighted to announce and create lots of interest in here today. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Rosemary Steen, our CEO, to tell you more. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Look, welcome to Monday, and we have another exciting announcement to talk about today. So one of the big things in the new DCI strategy is partnership and working with partners who can help the craft and design sector move forward. And so in 2021, we began working with Trinity College Dublin. I have to say I'm a little bit biased. I am a Trinity graduate, and I do view them as being absolutely brilliant at what they do. And so they were very keen to run a level 9 programme in Kilkenny. And so in 2021, we began working together to launch that programme. And that we ran, and it was very successful, and we got fantastic feedback from the people who had participated in it. And we spoke more about what we would like to do. And we came up with a wonderful proposal, which we've now successfully got funding for. And Gavin is going to explain more about that. But before I hand over to him, I'm just going to mention who our panel today is. So Gavin Drone from Trinity College, Brendan Goss from Trinity College, Zoe Daly from Eru, and Sharon Keelty from Jiminy Eco Toys. And basically what we have here is we have people who have worked with Trinity on an accelerator from different, on an accelerator to do with sustainability, I think was the key theme, and what they learned. And that's really exciting for you all because you get to hear from actual participants in the programme what they got out of it and how it's benefited working with them. So can I introduce Gavin Drone, who's going to now MC, if you like, this discussion. So Gavin, over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Rosemary. Yeah, I'm delighted to be here. As Rosemary said, Gavin Drone. I'm the Head of Entrepreneurship in Portal within Trinity College. So Portal is effectively the gateway between external third parties who want to access be it academics, some of our research, and some of our great students. So we've been running a number of accelerator programs for the last 10 years, starting with our student accelerator, where companies like Food Cloud came through. And sustainability is a key focus of our activities, which you'll hear a bit more later on. We're really delighted to build on the partnership with DCCI and announcing this program. We've been talking about it for a long time, so it's great to be formally able to announce it. And what we're doing over the next month, with a closing date of the 18th of February, we're looking to recruit 10 startups, particularly startups within the DCCI family that have great export potential. And we're also looking at the sustainability from those, both in terms of sustainability of design, but also looking at the whole end-to-end supply chain. It was a fascinating conversation before lunchtime, looking at the wool industry, and it was a huge education for myself as well. So every day is when you're learning something is good. Like I said, 18th of February is the closing date. So when we select the 10 companies to participate on this, we'll be looking at things like their business model, like their pitch, like their sales channel, like their routes to market, be it digital or with partnerships. So there'll be a lot of workshops, but there'll be lots of peer-to-peer learning. And one of the first things people ask as well, is that going to cost me to participate? It doesn't cost anything to participate, and other than that, we'd actually give €5,000 to each of the 10 companies that are participating, because we know there's costs to give up your time and participate in these programs. So there'll be a 5,000 stipend given to each of the companies participating on it. We will then bring those 10 companies down to 5 for a second stage of the program. But for now, we're looking to recruit 10 companies. The application will close on the 18th of February, and details will be on the Trinity website and also on the DCCI website. But rather than talking about what programs involved, we thought it might be better to hear from some of the participants on one of our existing programs. So Rosemary introduced Zoe and Sharon earlier. They're both participants on our circularity program that we're running with the IMR. And again, they have a key focus on sustainability, but it's one of the things that we'll be looking to recruit from companies. So I want to introducing to my colleague as well, Brendan Goss, who's our program manager on the accelerators, who'll talk about what's involved, but we'll also sort of talk to Sharon and Zoe in terms of the benefits they get from participating in the program. And if anyone is looking for additional details, they can talk to myself and Brendan afterwards. So, Brendan, I'll pass over to yourself.
Thank you very much, Gavin. Thanks, folks. Nice to see you all here. I don't have €5,000 in cash on me right now, but if you're interested in applying to participate in the program, there is a link, and we'll give you the details to the link to the program later on. As Gavin mentioned, in Trinity College, we've been running accelerator programs for startups, both Irish startups and international startups, over the last number of years. We've worked with over 200 companies, probably 300 companies at this rate, from about 26, 27 different countries. We generally work on thematic programs, so we could have worked on programs with a focus on health, digital health, for example. One of the primary themes and verticals that we've been focused on in recent years has been sustainability, more particularly circularity. So the circular economy is a key characteristic of a lot of the programming that we do. And we work with companies for whom the circular economy is a key marketplace. And that will be a characteristic as well of this particular program. And I'm delighted to be introduced, as Gavin said, by two protagonists in the circular economy, Zoe Daly from Eru and Sharon Keelty from Jiminy Eco Toys. Zoe and Sharon both participated on an initiative or an accelerator program that we previously ran with the circular economy at its heart, because they both represent businesses and ultimately products that are being sold and transacted in the circular economy. But sustainability is at the core of what they do. But above and beyond that, of course, design is a key characteristic of what both companies do, and the design environment, if you like, is where they're going to be doing and developing and scaling their businesses. So the reason we're talking together is just to give you a sense and a taste of what a young Irish business is finding out there as a challenge in terms of its growth, in terms of consolidating its presence in the marketplace, indeed in terms of expanding and scaling its presence both in Ireland and hopefully internationally as well. So we're just going to have a little chat here for a few minutes. Won't take too long. Zoe, thanks very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Could you tell us a little bit about Eru, where you've come from and what you're up to right now?
Yeah, so at Eru, I think in one word, we farm to yarn. So we actually take the raw material of wool off the sheep's back from my partner's farm and from farm to yarn networks we've set up around the country. And we take that wool, we process it in Donegal, and we turn it into yarn. So we started making products with that ourselves. It was all inspired by my grandmother. I tried to emulate a blanket that she had made for my daughter 9 years ago and went on a research journey to understand why I couldn't find Irish wool. And that research led me to meeting my partner, setting up these farming networks, discovering that Irish wool is valuable, it is possible, and that's our mission, is to create a value again for Irish wool. And now we're making the yarn available to industry, as well as our own products. And that's actually a lot to do with the Accelerator program, which really helped us focus on our strategy, I think. So that's what we do in a nutshell. I could go on, so try to just keep it.
Yeah, no, we'll come back to that, because I think you probably, even though you come from diverse businesses, a lot of the challenges that you face are quite common. Sharon, tell us a little bit about Jiminy Eco Toys.
Yes, so Jiminy is Ireland's eco toy store. I went shopping for my daughter's 4th birthday gift in 2018, and I came out of the toy store empty-handed because I just couldn't buy the plastic, wrapped in plastic, shipped from China anymore. I wanted a gift I could feel good about, like something made locally from sustainable materials, and there was nothing in the shop. So I just thought, well, if it's that difficult, to do the right thing, we can't expect people to do the right thing. We have to make it easy. So I started I now know is actually the world's first eco-activist toy store, just a place where everything has been checked. So everything is from recycled materials or natural materials, and shoppers can just relax and buy whatever they like and know that it's going to protect the child's planet as well as delighting the child for their birthday or Christmas. So since starting, we have sold over €2.5 million of sustainable toys with a carbon impact like having protected 4,500 trees from deforestation. So I'm very happy with that. And part of that is we've empowered 15,000 people to choose a gift that was good for the child and their planet.
Yeah.
So we were part of an accelerator program with Brandon in 2022, which had a big impact on our business.
Great. As I said, you're obviously very diverse and quite different in terms of your businesses, but some of the challenges that you'll encounter on a daily basis are quite similar. From Eric's perspective, Zoe, what was the kind of critical challenge that you faced, say, 12 months ago that you think participation on an accelerator program has helped to facilitate or helped to at least resolve to some degree?
I think accessing networks. A lot of the time spent in a startup is, it's just so busy. There's just so much to do on a day-to-day level that there's so many things that you think, oh God, I must get in touch with that person or that organization. And often when you want to get in touch with someone, when you have no intro, it's time consuming, So to be welcomed into a network where they're inviting you to connect with people, or so many contacts are coming to you, or I'll set you up with this, or have you thought about that? It literally kind of accelerates you right into the network of where you want to go, and then you have experts adding to that, so enhancing that opportunity.
Yeah.
So the challenge is time, I find a lot of the time. So that was really a big thing that the Accelerator program helped us to really kind of utilize time in the best way.
Okay. Sharon, from your perspective, what do you think was the biggest? I mean, your industry is dominated by a couple of big mega players internationally. So you decided to take this on head first. So amongst getting over that particular hurdle, what were the kind of challenges or points of resistance that you felt the Accelerator initiative helped you overcome?
Yeah, for me, I think the biggest challenge that it helped with was just being alone with my business. Previously I worked in a big company and there was always someone you could ask for advice. There was always the senior person you could kind of go and say, which half of what I'm doing should I stop? Help me prioritize. But then when you go out and you start your own thing, you're alone with it. And so it becomes so much harder to make sensible decisions,
Yeah.
And so what I found really valuable about the Accelerator was just that opportunity to have someone ask me, what is your strategy? Or what is your growth strategy? Or what is your strategy? Are you making money, Sharon? Is one of the first questions that the coaches asked me on the program. And okay, how can we increase that? How can we, so having that thought partnership, that external set of eyes from sensible, experienced business people was really valuable for me. The other thing that was really valuable was just that knowledge, that timely knowledge about what's going on, because there are lots of supports for small business, but we're small businesses. We don't have time to go read all the websites and be experts on which grants are coming up at which time that we might qualify for. And one of the things from the Accelerator program is I was told by the coaches that there was an EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency had a green enterprise grant coming up soon, and that I could be a candidate for that with one of my ideas. And I applied and I got it,
Right.
And that was €100,000.
Not bad.
So yeah. And it doesn't go into my pocket. I have to spend 130,000 to get the 100,000 just before you. But still, and I didn't even know about that. So just that timely kind of focused intelligence was really helpful.
And the coach only got 5% for making that recommendation. Right. It's not bad. Both sides do it. I suppose one of the key things about an accelerator program is that nobody's telling you what to do. Effectively, they're trying to empower the business owners and give you an array of choices, and you select them accordingly, I presume, right? I mean, do you recall, was there a particular nugget of advice, for example, over the last, not even just from an accelerator initiative necessarily, but a particular nugget or a piece of advice that somebody laid to you and it just struck a chord and maybe just opened up a couple of mental doors that previously were closed to you?
I think there were many things like that. One tangible thing was one of the first things they said to us was, you're eligible for this kind of, grant. And That was something that we're now hopefully about to secure, which will go a long way in our business. So again, I wouldn't have known about this thing just because of time and researching what grants available when and where. Another thing was really just the focusing and the strategy, because our business is the core is sustainability, and it's really a passion to, create a value for Irish wool. Sometimes I can get almost lost in that passion where it's like I'm so passionate about the subject that it's like not financially viable anymore, So they really help me ground, like with like the elevator pitch and all of the aspects to that, which, I remember Ron just like I gave him the pitch and he was like, "That's so beautiful, Zoe. That's such a beautiful story. But how's that going to make money?" Like he's just like, they're just so blunt and helpful because we have all the elements, but it's easy, like when you're on your own, to get tunnel vision, and, you really have to ground it in the practicality and the finances and the strategy, so having all these experts look at your dream, your idea, and really put a shape on it, I think, in an accelerated fashion, which is what you need, because we need to be bringing in money and revenue with little time. So I think what we achieved in the Accelerator program with so many experts looking from all these different angles, which are critical to business, we would not have achieved that in such a short space in time. And during that long space in time that we would have learned some of those lessons, we could have lost out,
Sure. Sharon, from your perspective, I mean, you're constantly fighting the battle. I mean, you came from an advisory background, is that correct? One of the big advisory companies? So would you have been used to giving advice to people?
Yeah, exactly.
How did you find it being on the other side of the table, in a sense?
Oh, it's great. I mean, so I worked for a big management consultancy for 13 years before I quit to start the Eco Toy Store. And so one thing I've definitely learned is you can't management consult to yourself. You know, it's so much easier to look at someone else's business and be like, chop, chop, chop. Okay, this is what. But you're so emotionally caught up in it. Like Zoe was saying, you can't be objective about your own business, which was why having that coaching in particular, and also conversations with other participants on the Accelerator, was very helpful. You were asking about like nuggets of advice we've been given that we found helpful. I think my favorite nugget of advice has been fail fast, which doesn't sound very inspiring, but if you have an idea for a business, or in my case, for a new sort of work stream on a business, do the experiment now that will really tell you whether it's going to work. For example, if I poll on my Instagram stories or whatever, it happened to me, handmade Christmas stockings. If I stocked these, would you buy them? And I had 40 people say yes. So I ordered 40 stockings. And after 3 of them sold, I was looking at them going, how am I going to get these to leave my shop? People will answer a survey and say one thing, but when you actually ask them to give you their money, they'll tell you something else. So it's a much better experiment to do what I did at the beginning of my toy shop, was to hit my local park market on a Saturday in St. Anne's Park, to get, folding table, little folding marquee, and put products on the table and see if they sell. And I learned so much more from doing that. I started out with entirely the wrong range. I had entirely the wrong expectation of what people wanted. Then, they wanted kits. They didn't want loose parts for crafts. They wanted, they wanted colorful toys that look like mainstream toys. They didn't want kind of eco-looking, boring-looking toys. So I learned all of that selling toys at markets rather than doing market research, for example. So I like that kind of, challenge yourself, like do the experiment that will definitively tell you if this is going to work, and do it quickly, because if it's not going to work, you want to know now and not in 2 years' time or 3 years' time. Which for me was the sell apart markets, was the fail fast experiment.
Fail fast, fail again, fail faster, fail again. Trinity College likes to claim ownership of that, just because Samuel Beckett came up with it and he went to Trinity and la. Right. That's why we're involved with startups. One of the ambitions we would have for companies, and as every company owner or founder would have themselves, is to help companies to scale and to look beyond Ireland as a market, and to try to internationalize their products, and then establish beachheads in foreign markets. What would be your mindset now, having, say if you were to look back 12, 18 months from where you were then to projecting forward another 12, 18 months. Do you think, would you have ambitions to trade internationally, to operate in an international market? Would there be any mental hindrance to that?
No. Like that's absolutely our goal, and we're finding that actually our story is getting a lot of traction abroad. So again, the program did help in accessing networks or ideas to access those networks, because you can feel like in a closed kind of environment here, only reaching out to the companies close to you.
Yeah.
And just again, not thinking, when am I going to get beyond this? So I think they're always looking at it from that perspective, which helps you also kind of be confident in what you're producing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, absolutely. I think, well, with wool, we already have that global, history, so we want to fulfill that with a truly authentic Irish product,
Yeah.
So that's definitely our ambition, for sure.
Right. Sharon?
I've been there and tried it, and I failed fast. So I tried to branch into the UK because it was the obvious. So here's the thing: I'm not a product producer. I run a retail wholesale business. If I was making a product, absolutely, I think international would be still my strategy. But as a retailer wholesaler, I thought, okay, Ireland is only a 6 million person market. The UK is 60 million people. So let's go there. So I did my fail fast. I rented some space in a warehouse in the UK for my best-selling toys. I think I picked my 10 best-selling SKUs and put them over there. And I got on a program with Etsy. It was supporting social enterprises on Etsy. So I listed on Etsy. I thought, great, Etsy will be my storefront. They'll have existing traffic that will find my products. And after, I think, 2 or 3 months of how many orders do you think we got, Brandon?
Pardon?
How many orders do you think we got?
I couldn't possibly say, Sharon.
Got a big fat zero.
Zero.
Not a single order. So
why do you think that was?
I guess I thought Etsy was like taking a stall in a shopping mall, that you'd have existing traffic that would happen upon you. But in fact, it's not. It's just like building a shop in a field in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you have to start from scratch and build your audience, build your community, just like I've done in Ireland. It took me 5 years to build it up in Ireland, and I didn't have, as a small business, I didn't have enough team capacity. I could have put 1 or 2 people full-time on building the UK. I don't have 2 full-time people, even on, so it was just too big a mountain for a small team to climb. So I retreated, cancelled the warehouse, took the stock back, and decided just to focus on the fantastic community of people that we have in Ireland already, and just to take a more of a small is beautiful strategy, and focus on what was already going well. So.
Okay. So, well, it's interesting because that digital strategy, then people might make the fairly facile assumption that just because you're going digital, then you can trade internationally, but it's not necessarily the case. So
Brexit really hurt that. Before Brexit, I think I had 10 or even 15% of my orders from the UK.
Yeah.
And now it's 1-2% of my orders. So it basically, I lost more than 10% of my business from Brexit. So, and then it's just so much harder in the non-English language markets. It's just different, right? So.
Okay, so you removed, you retrenched, you licked your wounds, and you focused on what it is you do best. Okay, it's an important learning, nonetheless. Listen, one more question, and we'll wrap it up. Or not question necessarily, but just one more ask of you. The Accelerator program, as such, the way we're structuring it, is that we'll invite a large group of companies in to the first stage of it, and there'll be a second stage for companies that are considered to have or are evaluated independently and considered to have greater commercial potential in terms of their ability to scale and go on and grow. What would be your word of advice to a young startup or a young founder coming onto a program like this, unsure of what to expect, but giving them a lash nonetheless?
Yeah, to really, to make the most of it, to attend it all. There's we couldn't believe, it was almost too good to be true. We entered this program thinking it's probably good to do some type of mentorship. We hadn't planned that. And we started upon it, and we honestly couldn't believe how good it was. And we were given 5 grand. We were like, is there a catch? We're getting the best experts from business, giving us the best advice, and really, really invested in us. Even all of them are like, let us know. Like, we called our mentors after we discovered what we're actually our main strategy is going to be after the program finished. I was like, could we just talk to you? I just wanted to fill them in. And they were like, absolutely, and set up a meeting. And they were like our parents, like going, yay, well done. You did so well. So it's genuinely amazing, you know, so you're just not, it's a huge gift. So take it and run with it and utilize all the advice. We chased up the contacts, we entered the programs they suggested. Now we're hopefully close to getting funding from one of them, using the contacts. Just really make the most of it.
Great. Sharon?
Yeah, I guess my advice would be to use a program like this to get real work done. None of us has time for academic, you know, being lectured or learning something interesting. If the session that you're in, if you're not actually coming out of it with real actions for your business or a real whatever marketing refresh plan for you, get the real work done in the sessions. And on these programs, I'm a bit more ruthless. I'm selective about what I join in a ruthless way. If I already know that topic, like I spent 13 years as a management consultant, so someone wants to teach me, something that's maybe a lot of craft business owners or small business owners don't know, that's great, but if I don't need to learn it, I'm not showing up because, your time is precious, and if you spend 2 hours on something when you could have been spending 2 hours selling or solving problems, well, you should have been doing that. So I try and treat it as work and not something adjacent to work. And if I'm not getting something genuinely useful to me done in the session, then I've wasted my time. So find the real thing that you can get done in that session and do it in the session.
Right.
My advice.
Okay, by way of conclusion. Oh yeah, before I invite a question, I just wanted to say before I forget myself, the nature of the program is such that it'll be a hybrid program, so it'll be online and in person. Both Sharon and Zoe were victims to a certain extent of COVID, where a lot of our programming reverted to an exclusively online form of engagement, which probably presented its own challenges. It was fine in one respect, but at the same time, the companies didn't get to meet each other in person, and that was a bit of a disadvantage, because I think that ability to build a network and create relationships with your peers is really, really important, and it's a great motivating factor for companies who do participate on these programs. So we will aim to have at least one face-to-face gathering per month during the course of the program, with the rest of the program hybrid, because we're expecting applications from nationwide. So just to bear that in mind. And of course, €5,000 is the magic number, obviously. That was from a different program, but it just seems to be a nice round figure. Was there a question from the audience, quickly? You might have to shout out, because I can't hear you terribly well from here. Okay.
Just an observation, actually, on the trading in Britain. I have some clients who have done Belfast warehousing, and that seems to be kind of magical in that you don't have customs for either, and it's an easier route to that market.
Thanks. Yeah, the shipping, when you're doing B2C, the shipping costs from Northern Ireland to the UK are still, they're lower, but they're still nothing, So, anyway. I was hoping to be based in the UK, because if you're on mainland UK, you can send things for like £3. It's ridiculously cheap. And you're competing with mainland UK businesses who can send things overnight for like £3 shipping a cost. Whereas from here, from Dublin, it's €10, 2 to 3 days. So Northern Ireland, I think it was €7, something like that. So you're better, but not magical in terms of the shipping, which for B2C is the important thing. If you're B2B, then that doesn't really matter as much.
That's going to become even more complicated now soon enough, I think, as well, because there are the advent of new regulations between the UK and the single European market. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
The local enterprise boards limit, or the eligibility tends to be around manufacturing or similar. I'm just wondering, is the program open to everything, every type of like retail, wholesale, manufacturing?
The program is open to companies that have the ability to grow and scale. So from that perspective, if you're part of the design and crafts ecosystem, and we think that you've got the ability to grow the business and scale the business in a period of time, then by all means apply.
And I don't qualify for local enterprise, but I did qualify for this. So yeah.
Absolutely. Being a Leo client company, for example, you know, you're probably primed to apply in that sense, because they would have done a lot of their own due diligence as well before we did, if you like. But we won't be teaching grannies to suck eggs necessarily either. So, okay. Well, listen, the application deadline I think is the 18th of February. You can apply online via the DCCI website, and also via Trinity Tangent's website. It's an online application form there. And the applications will be evaluated, and we'll get back in touch then with the companies that we wish to shortlist for participation. Okay? So with that, Zoe, Sharon, thank you very, very much indeed for coming in and joining us. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you. Cheers.